Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round 17 TLT for the Out Nrl Fantasy podcast. Dor, mate, a massive week again. Queensland got the Origin win. I don't think I've spoken to you since Queensland's Origin win. We'll continue to talk about that unless we lose game 3, of course.
100%.
Hey, mate, we're really getting into the pointy end of fantasy this year. I can't believe we're 17 rounds in to the 2025 season, but it is a time of period where we start to save some trades. You're making those big sort of moves. So what are you looking forward to for the rest of the season, I guess, fantasy-wise?
It's either red dots or guns. That's basically it. There is a couple of cheap prospects as well that you could have a look at. Just quickly, Cord, before we go into the TLT, if you don't mind, I was not feeling the best last night, so I didn't do Monday night with Dor.
Of course, bro.
Basically just a little summary of how we went last week. Look, 790 points, not too bad, but the thing which is not good is the fact that Sua Wong got injured for us, only got 11 points. And then Riley Smith is now being suspended too. So I think both of those players, with us only having like 7 trades left or something 7 trades left. Look, we've got to get rid of Wong and potentially Riley Smith as well due to the suspension.
Yeah, look, everything that we sort of touch turns to absolute shittery at the moment. I must add. I will say though, and something that is a bit of a bonus in my personal team is that I haven't made a trade in the last 3 weeks and I've still won matchups. So I still have 12 trades plus the 8 at the end of round 20 is it? I can't remember what round.
Yeah, I think it's at the start of round 20. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at that in a second. But look,
so 20 trades for me heading into the finals. I'd say I'm in a very good position. And if you have those amount of trades left, yeah, I think you're doing pretty well.
Considering we only scored 790 and had pretty average performances from the likes, or basically Wong was the only one that went really bad. Look, Fletcher Sharp. Oh, well, there's another one that needs to be sold.
Yeah, he's got to go, doesn't he?
Yeah, Sharp, I don't think it's looking likely that he's not going to return at all for this season. He's got injuries that you would assume that he's been in a car crash, a real serious major car crash injury. I think it's like a ruptured spleen or something like that. So it's not good. So he's probably very unlikely to return this season. I think him and Wong will probably definitely have to go for us this season. Might hold Riley Smith for next week, but look, 790. We actually made ranks, so we're back into the top 10,000 again. So that's pretty good. But yeah, those 2 players will have to go, and we will move, brother.
We do move, and let's go straight to TLT because there's some big names returning and some big outs, of course. Starting straight for the Panthers, the Origin players, Yeo, Cleary, Toto, Martin, Edwards, all to return this week. The Panthers are coming, mate. They're back in the top 8. Are they still?
Yep.
Look, they're probably going to make
I believe.
They're probably going to make a deep run into the playoffs or the finals, should I say? Watching too much NBA. But some big ins here. If you know Bent's on the podcast regularly for the buy, hold, sell, actually sold Nathan Cleary last week to Jaden Campbell. He'd be killing himself after seeing Cleary named this week against the Dogs. Other than that, for the Panthers, no real issues except Scott Sorensen is out suspended.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And for the Doggies, really interesting here. Crichton, Kingman, and Burton are all back, but Jacob Coraz slides to the wing. Lucky Galvin to the bench. So Sexton keeps that spot. Galvin to the bench. If I was you, Dor, I'd be buying Jacob Coraz this week, definitely.
Yeah. Thankfully for my own personal team, I don't have to worry about that, brother, because I got Coraz in a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I just said that the all-out team with Fletcher Sharp out, I think we're probably going to go straight from Fletcher Sharp to Kiraz. He's great, got that dual eligibility as well with centre and wing fullback.
He's a buy, must have.
Great option. As
Plays
well
that
as
next
Jacob
buy
Preston.
as well. Plays the next buy round.
Yeah, the Dogs have actually played all their bye rounds. So the Storm, and the Dragons have all played their bye rounds for the season. So yeah, Storm, Dragons, Bulldogs players, you don't have to worry about any more bye rounds now. They play every round through the to the end of the season, basically.
Get those guys in.
Get those guys in. Fantasy wise for this one, Cord, I think it's just what we just said. Kiraz and Preston, I think, are really good options.
Yep.
Burton's not a bad option either. Will he get 18th man again for game 3? Maybe, but hopefully not for
It's a killer, isn't it?
for Doggies fans. Yeah, it is. It is a killer. As a Broncos fan, I do hope he gets 18th man because then I don't have to worry about versing him. But look, Tommy Jenkins continues to kick. He's been great, so hold on to him. Otherwise, I don't think there's really any Panthers players that I'd say buy Cord. I think if you still got obviously Cleary, Yo, those type of guys, you're definitely holding on to them. I wouldn't
100%.
say anyone's a buy, so I'm happy to move on to the first Friday night game, brother.
Yeah, moving on, and plenty of changes here for the Seagulls. Tom Trbojevic has been moved to centre. Hopper Whitey will play fullback. I have heard this is only a 1 or 2 week switch, so the plan is to get Turbo back at fullback. So I wouldn't say he's a sell if you still have Turbo. Garrick goes out to the wing, and Jacob Saab makes way for there. The loss of Olakau'atu brings Corey Waddell into the starting side. Jazz Tavunga starts at lock, so you'd be very happy there.
At hooker.
Sorry, at
Yeah,
hooker.
at
So that's
hooker,
even better. For the Tigers, Heath Mason starts at fullback over Jareem Buller, who faces 4 weeks out with a hamstring injury, which also brings Latu Fainu into the play. Potential cheapy downgrade option. Tigers don't play around 18, but there's definitely an opportunity there to get a cash out kind of guy.
I love the Latu Fainu. The Tigers do play round 18.
Oh, they do play round 18.
Yeah, they do play round 18. So, yeah, that's a really good cash out option. I don't think the all-out team could potentially do that with Riley Smith. But, yeah, this is a real good chance. Buller out for a month. Mason moves to the back. I think the Tigers have looked, personally, I think that they look better with Latu Fainu at halfback.
219. Sorry, I'll cut in here. 298K. Last played round 16, 53 minutes, got 44 points. Try assist, line break assist, 16 tackles, 3 tackle busts. The week before that, 35 points in 44 minutes. So he's definitely an option this week if you want a cash out option.
I think he's a really, really good buy. As the other thing is as well is he's in at halfback, so he's steering the ship with Luai at 6, playing that 5'8" role. So that's another huge benefit for Latu Fainu.
Also going through like the round 18 sort of team structure here, the halfbacks aren't really showing up. You know, like there's a lot of good halfbacks on bye rounds. He could easily slot into that halfback position for round 18 and pick up an extra 30, 40 points, maybe even 50 during round 18. So we'll see. Yeah,
we don't need to worry about him because we've got Fogarty and Jerome Hughes now for the all-out team. True. So we don't need to worry about that. But still, I think he's a really good cash-out option. Potentially get you some really good gains, and then he could be someone that you upgrade or trade out, you know, potentially just before head-to-head final start or later in the season to a really good gun. So I really like picking him up this week, Cord. But in terms of fantasy-wise, outside of that,
I actually think Garrick will do better at wing than he does at centre, to be honest.
I don't think there's really any buys outside of Latu Fainu. I think Latu Fainu is a serious buy. Outside of that, Heath Mason could be an all right option, but I prefer Latu Fainu. I'm not going to say no to anyone who wants to get in Heath Mason for, you know, a month at fullback. But who knows, Buller could come back a week early. Manly, yeah, look, Jazz, I've still got in my personal team. I'm going to hold until after next week and then get rid of him round 19, round 20. I think he should get solid minutes there, and I don't think he's going to play hooker the whole game. I think he will shift into the lock position there and give Gerbo a spell at the back end. And yeah, like you said, Cord, I think Turbo, I think is probably a hold. Give him a crack. Look, if you want to go Lehigh Hopewade and think if Manly are going to win these next few games and he's going to go really well and they're just going to stick with that and Turbo's not going to go back to fullback, well, yeah, you can definitely do that. I think DCE is also not a bad option. But outside of that, nothing else in that game, brother.
Moving on to the Knights-Raiders game. For the Raiders, no real resting or changes taking place here. Hudson Young, definitely an option once the round 20 bye, I believe it is, or round 19 bye for the Raiders is finished. He's obviously one of the gun 2RFs this year. For the Knights, Jackson Hastings comes in for Fletcher Sharp, who we mentioned is injured. Saifidi will play his first game since round 11. other than that, for the Knights, look, nothing really popping up for me fantasy-wise at all for these two
No.
teams.
Jacko, what was he now? A Black Helmet. Black Helmet
Yeah,
is
Black
back
Helmet.
at 6 for the Knights.
The only
And that
person
could
I
be
can
for the
see,
foreseeable future with Fletcher Sharp now out.
100%.
And Gamble, 19th man, he could come back. But what were you going to say?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say the only person that I can see in the Raiders side is Jed Stewart, another potential cheapie pickup. He did score on the weekend, which might have inflated his score. But there's no problems here with Jed if Tamale's back around 26.
Stewart's going to have that position, I would assume, until for the next 8 weeks. So I don't hate it. But I much would prefer Latufano. I think his base
31 points he got.
So. All-round stats are a lot better, pardon me, than Jed Stewart. In regards to this game, Cord, look, Hudson Young's been rested. He'll be back next week. Or not next week, the week after next, should I say, because I assume he will be picked for Origin. Be great to see if Tarpany can get some better minutes, but otherwise I'd still be holding on to him. That's really it for Raiders.
I'm not
for
seeing anything else.
Newcastle, you're obviously going to keep a hold of Dylan Lucas. Like we said before, you sell Fletcher Sharpedo, unfortunately. Marzu's lurking on the bench there. Could be a bit of an issue. And outside of that, look, Ponga had one of his better fantasy games and NRL performances of the year on the weekend. But I'd assume he'll still be picked for Game 3 for the Maroons, so I wouldn't be getting him in until after Origin. Outside of that, Cord, on to the next one, brother.
Bronx Wars could be
my Bronx.
Could be the game of the round, potentially. This one, Bronx and the Wars. Broncos back at home, 3:00 game on Saturday, which is a bit of a rarity for the Broncos. Magic Guys going with the same 17 that got the job done against the Sharks last week. For the Wars, the loss of John Watini-Zalesniak brings Ed Cossey into the team. Rocco Berry is back from hamstring injury, and Maroon star Cody Capewell returns to the 18. Look, fantasy-wise here, I'm not seeing much except for Reece Walsh, potentially a buy for round 18 if he doesn't play Origin for me. Other than that, I'm looking down this list, and I'm not seeing much there for either team, to be honest.
No, I think the real big one is, Reece Walsh. If he doesn't get picked for Origin, 59 points on the weekend, break even of 21 Cord. I think he's a bit risky because if he kills it this weekend and Ponga has an average one and how Ponga played in Game 2 of Origin, there is a chance. But I think Billy will. I think he's got to stay loyal. I think that it'll be the same team. So I think while there is a bit of concern, I think that Walsh will be playing for the Broncos against the Bulldogs in round 18. Outside of him, look, Karapani's gone all right. Definitely very good on Supercoach, but fantasy-wise, look, he scored, I think, 2 tries and got 30-something points, so I wouldn't be getting him in. Yeah. Outside of that, look, Pia Cora, I'd love if Jack Goz wasn't on the bench. Pia Cora did come off for a HIA.
Jackie Goz.
And, he only got 28 points, so I can't say go get Pia Cora. In regards to the Warriors, look, Metcalf did have a really bad cork last week and was on track for a really big score, but only ended up with 49. Definitely hold on to him. I think Fisher Harris is also a good option if you need a middle. I wouldn't say he's the best option, but he's certainly not a bad option. Someone like a Jacob Laban Cord is someone that I am looking at potentially, just due to the fact that it seems that he's favoured over Halasima at the moment. I don't know if Kurt Cape was going to play 80 in this game. I'm not exactly sure. I'd assume so against his old club. But Laban's been really good the last couple of weeks. He's still not getting 80, but he got 39 points 2 weeks ago. And then last weekend he scored and got 63 points. Played 70 minutes last week, and then the week before was 50. So his minutes are definitely increased. He's at 352K, break even of 1. The only issue is the Wars don't play next week. So I probably wouldn't be getting him in. But he's definitely, if you play head-to-head, he's definitely, if you need a cheap edge, he's certainly not a bad option. I think he'll play around 60 minutes this weekend.
Yeah, great, mate. Moving on to the Dragons and Eels. Dragons coming off a bye this week, so interesting to see their team list. Toby Couchman starts on the edge. A lot of people would still have him alongside Damien Cook, who shapes the 9 role.
Shane.
Look, I'm looking at the halves again, and I saw something that Ilias and his half partner in New South Cup have won 8 games in a row.
Yep.
Dragons are insipid, and they keep with the same lineup.
I think this is, from what I've heard, take this as you will, take it with a grain of salt. Apparently, this is the last week that they're basically, if it doesn't go well this week, well, then there's going to be changes.
Like, they shouldn't be losing games with this team. The team is quite good, to be honest.
The team is, outside of the halves is very, very good.
Yeah, Dragons, look, not much fantasy input here, to be honest. Eels, Dylan Brown returns. Sam Riney joins the starting side. Wendell Penasini serving a 3-game ban. Papali'i fills the bench. Spot vacated by Riley Smith, who was suspended for 2 games. Would you sell him, Dor?
Riley Smith?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, he's got to go.
I think the time's come to say goodbye to Riley.
Well, he misses this week. They've got a bye round 18 and back again.
Yeah, miss this
round
week.
19. So he's essentially missing 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I think he's basically peaked anyway, in my opinion, Cord.
Yep.
Like he was really at as probably as high as he was going to get. I don't think he was really going to make that much more money. Look, he got 36. He's got a break even of 43. It's not like the break even's through the roof, but to get really the price generation going again, he's going to have to get like a 60 or 70.
Yeah.
I think you'd move him on to
bigger and better things.
Yeah, bigger and better things, or you can downgrade him to like a Latu Fainu or a Jacob Laban or something like that, and then use that extra money to upgrade, say like a mid-range player to an absolute gun.
100%. Anything else you can catch your eye on here?
I think for the Dragons, not really. Obviously, if you own Toby Couchman, you'd much prefer him to be in the middle, not playing on the edge that he is. His points are definitely a lot better. I know he's playing like 80 on the edge, but his PPM's so much better in the middle, and I think some teams are going to definitely look to expose that of him being out on the edge due to the fact of his lateral movement. But there is hope with Sewer coming back. Leilua on the bench that maybe Couchman moves into the middle at some point and Leilua comes in on the edge. I think Sewer's going to be playing 80. So I think there is a chance that Couchman could play big minutes and shift into the middle at some point.
He's been playing 80 recently, so I think he will definitely play.
Outside of that, I guess the negative is if you own Nathan Lawson, is that he's not been named. I would probably hold on to him just due to the fact that Val's going to be playing Origin and there's still a spot up for grabs there. Yep. So he could be back next week and fill a number for you there. So I'd hold on to Lawson for one more week. Now, the Eels. This is where there's some talking points. Like we said, Eels. I think Riley Smith's a sell. The other one is if you still got Iongi and Katoga, I think they're fine, good holds. Hold on to those guys. But the guy I want to talk about is the man at the 7 or has the 7 jersey, Dino, as Wobblen and I were calling him, or Hawko, however you want to go by. But look, he's been absolutely terrific for Parramatta since coming in, and with Moses out for a little while. He's played 2 games this season at 7 for the Eels. 67 points in round 12, and then on Sunday night in round 16 got 64 points. So he's gone back-to-back 60s when he's got the 7 jersey and playing 80 minutes. Moses is still going to be out for a little while, and then the other issue with it as well is that they don't play next week. So is a bit of a negative to it, but I think over the next, 3 weeks or whatever, he's going to score pretty well. But that's probably the only negative is they miss next week. If they were playing next week, I'd say he's a serious buy option.
100%. Moving on to the Dolphins and the Rabbitohs game. Jackie Bostock lost to an ACL. Is a big one for the Dolphins. Such sad news for Jackie Bostock, who's been performing really well for the Dolphins this year.
He has.
Junior Tupou joins the side for his first game since round 2. Josh Kerr has been recalled onto the bench. For the Rabbitohs, Campbell Graham, Cody Walker return to the side. Jack Whiten shifts from 5'8" to the centre. Ewan Aiken returns to the back row, which is good news for owners. Peter Mama has been named to start after a return from an elbow injury. Jaden Sullivan is listed among the reserves. Fantasy-wise, Jamie Humphries continued to go okay over the weekend for me. And other than that, Isaiah Katoa for me in the Dolphins side is a good buy. Tallis Duncan sort of proving to be okay there at starting
50,
lock.
51, I think he got on the weekend. He's
Yeah.
doing well. That's starting second row.
Starting second row, sorry.
He's been going well. Tallis Duncan there on the edge. He should continue to plot along, make some good money for those that have got him in their side. Break even to 17 this week. 51 points last week. Great with that dual eligibility. I don't know if I'd really be getting him in because, look, if he scores 50 the next couple of weeks, he's probably maxing out by like round 19, round 20. So I don't think he's a buy. Now I think you've missed the boat with him. Keon's obviously great as well. And the other positive about Ewan Aiken playing centres last week is he should get, in the next DPP update, he should get dual status because I'm pretty sure he needed to play one more game before.
Interesting loophole.
Yeah, before the next DPP, and he's obviously done that. So that's definitely something, a positive if you've got Aiken or looking at getting Aiken in. I think he's potentially like a step behind those dual options of, say, a Firma or Lucas. I think those are your best edge centre duels. But look, I think Aiken's going to get that centre duel in the next DPP, which I think, let me just quickly check here, is round 21. So it's still a little while away, but he should definitely get centre and edge by then, Cord. Otherwise,
I'm not seeing else.
Latrell has been outstanding, but the problem is Origin next week. So unfortunately have to wait till after Origin for Latrell. Same is with Herbie Farnworth. He's been outstanding. Excellent. So Herbie and Latrell, I think, are really good options to get into your side, especially with someone like Fletcher Sharp going down, Cord, and that wing fullback spot becoming a bit, not as strong, like not as deep as it was, especially with the likes of, say, Walsh has been in and out injured and been a bit topsy-turvy with his form, and Ponga's been a bit poor, Turbo's been poor. I think someone like Latrell, 75 points, I believe it was last week, he's a great option. Outside of that, for Souths, look, I did say don't get Havili, and now with Mama back on the bench, definitely not. It is concerning that Hubner's named on the bench, but I would just hold on to him just if you really need. If you don't need the number next week, I think Hubner's a sell. Like, get rid of him, especially on the bench. But if you need that number next week, I think he's a definite player that you want to hold on to, because Keon could be named for the Blues come game 3, especially coming off that loss and average performances from Max King and Stefano. Dolphins-wise, Cord, look, don't get Junior Tupu. I said Herbie Farnworth, wait till after the bye rounds, or after Origin, should I say. The only other one I just wanted to touch on is good old Kurt Donahue. What a great player he is. Very versatile as well. Out on left centre on the weekend as well when Jackie Bostock went down to right centre. 59 points from Kurt. Unfortunately, he doesn't play next week. But if you got him in last week, you would be a very, very happy owner, Cord. Outside of that, move on to the next one, my friend.
Yeah, this is going to be a very short wrap-up for these two teams, Storm, Sharks. For the Sharks, Oregon Kafusik returns after being late out last week. Hamilton Ueli goes back to the bench. For the Storm, Xavier Coates returns. Anderson shifts to the centres in place of Howarth, who's out due to illness. Uchikamano and Trent Liero will be back on deck this week against the Sharks. Fantasy-wise, look, the Storm play that round 18 bye, so anytime you can get a Pappenhausen, Jerome Hughes, definitely get them in your team. For the Sharkies, where to for the Sharks? Nicker was excellent on the weekend in a losing side. Nico Hines seemed to have lost a bit of a touch. 595k. I'm thinking about selling him this week to get a Fogarty or a Hughes potentially. What are your thoughts, Dor?
Well, in this game, I think, like you said, Cord, I think Pappenhausen's a great option. I think that Jerome Hughes is also, again, another good option. Look, Pappenhausen got 43 on the weekend. His break-even is a little high, 58, but you could, if you want to get him in this week, feel free to go ahead and do so, but you could wait another week if you want to. But some coaches have, like Fletcher Sharp being out injured, Teddy on a bye round this week. They need a wing fullback. I think Pappenhausen's a great option. I would go Kiraz over Pappenhausen, but obviously Kiraz costs a lot more. Hughes, I think it's definitely time to get him if you haven't already. 45
Just going
points
over
on
his
the
stats,
weekend.
though, it's not great, his
No.
numbers.
No.
Like, they're going to have to lift, definitely.
He's a bit inconsistent, Cord, but I think he's a good third or fourth half option to have in your side.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I don't
Fair
hate it. 45, break even to 32. Look, the one player, Katoa is another great option, a good option as well if you need an edge. He just continues to plot
Yeah, good
out
pod.
solid scores, 48 points on the weekend, break even to 56, not a bad option. But the man that I want to talk about is Harry Grant. Harry Grant, I think, thank you New South Wales, has played him into terrific form. He was absolutely outstanding in Game 2 of Origin and was absolutely outstanding again on Saturday night against South. 68 points, break even of 38, priced at 630K. Now, I'm touching on this not as someone that obviously with Origin next week that you want to buy, but I think that Harry Grant's definitely... He looks like he's going to be one of those players that we need to get into our side for the run home. Hooker's obviously not that deep at the moment. I'm personally thinking myself is I'm going to try and upgrade good old Jazzy Tavanga to Harry Grant after Origin is what I'm thinking. But I think, Harry Grant is definitely going to be an option cord that you want to get into your side for the run home.
He should only miss the 1 week, right? So he'll miss round 18, of course. But
and that's it. He shouldn't miss unless they rest him.
He should play round 19, right?
Yeah. Considering how close it is up at the top of the ladder.
Saturday, 3 o'clock is the nights. Like, they could rest him, but he's
the captain as well.
Yeah,
he's the captain. He might not play 80, but that could be the game that you wait and then get him the week after in round 20 or whatnot. Now, Sharks-wise, look, I've got really nothing to say apart from, look, like you said, Cord, you can get rid of Nico if you want to. I'd probably just... he doesn't play next week, so do with that what you will. I don't hate getting rid of him. Nicker is definitely someone that's really come into form the last couple of weeks, Cord, so I think he's a solid option, but again, doesn't play next week, and the Broncos just decided to leave really big holes in their defense. Fanua Blake, hold on to him if you still got him, and the last one is Talakai Cord. Talakai had a good game on the weekend, 42 points. He should play for at least the next 3-4 weeks until Hirotti's back, I would assume. He could keep it if he plays well, but 42 points. He did score, but I do like what I see with Talakai. He's also an edge and center duel, so if you really need one of those, he's really cheap, 322K. I don't hate it. I don't see him going as well as he did last week against the Broncos, against the Storm this week, but he's definitely an option.
Moving on to the last game of the round, it's the Titans and Cowboys. And going off of this team list here, there's plenty to talk about. Tom Weaver takes over at halfback from Janie Campbell, who was ruled a Category 1, so will miss this week. Tino Fa'asuamaleaui is back in the starting side.
Thank God.
Other than that, not much else there for the Titans. But for the Cowboys, Jakey Clifford earns a recall and moving Jackson Purdue back to the centres. Braden Burns making way. So that experiment with Jackson Purdue has obviously ended. Reece Robson, Cotter are back on deck. Tamalolo remains on the sideline. So I think it's time to sell Purdue if you've still got him, in my opinion. Even though he plays next round. I think
this coming back, he's definitely right close to the chopping block. But I'm seeing him back at center against the Titans. I can't sell him this week. For me, I think you now just, if you want to sell him, sure, go ahead. He's definitely one of those players that if you've got coverage in the centers, that he's probably you can probably get rid of him because he might go well this week, but his base isn't the best. He relies on the attacking output.
Look, if you sell him to get a Kiraz, then do
100%. But I'm going to hold on to him because I'm just going to I need him for round 18, so I'm going to hold on to Purdue. I think he goes really well this week. Not sure about next week, but I think he can go really well this week against a Titan side that's not playing the best of football at the moment. Drinky didn't have his best game on the weekend, but I see him bouncing back in this clash, Cord. So, yeah, hold on to Drinky. Outside of that, for the Cows, no one else is really much of that we need to talk about for the Cows. In regards to the Titans, though, Cord, look, David Feeder was named 18th man, but then he underwent a minor surgery in regards to his ankle again. He should be back after round 18, they're saying. So he's only going to be out another couple of weeks. But obviously, Chris Randall's been performing very, very well for the Titans there in that back row. I can't really tell you to go and buy him, because he's probably, they don't play next week, and then Fafita could be back in round 19. So even though he's been absolutely killing it, I think you would have had to have got him like a few weeks ago. Outside of that, hold on to Bowie Firma. Look, Tino hasn't been the greatest. Hopefully now with him starting and the Titans playing the very last game of the round, I think that hopefully Tino can get back to those bigger minutes and those better scores. Outside of that, Jaden Campbell obviously misses this week. They got the bye next week, so he should be well rested and ready to fire in round 19.
Oh, God, yeah.
Outside of that, Cord, I don't think that there is anyone else talking about on the Titans, apart from Brimson's been pretty solid since moving back to fullback where he should have been. No, look, in saying that, he only got 20 on the weekend. So,
and on that note,
yes.
And on that note, we might finish it up for TLT. Back again tomorrow for Buy, Hold, Sell. So make sure to keep an eye on that for one. We're really in the pointy end now, Dor, making sure we're set up for finals. If you're making it, if you're not, make sure to make those trades to get in the finals.
100%. You got to act now. I know it's
before it's too late.
It's all great and good to have plenty of trades left, but if you're not going to make the finals because you've got a heap of trades left, well,
oh God, no.
What's the point? I'm pretty sure as well, Cord, to confirm it's the start of round 20, I think, is when you get is what I'm seeing here in regards to those trades. So those players, everyone should get your extra 8 trades come the start of round 20. So otherwise, we will see you next week for, round 18. So the third and final major buy rounds, TLT. Otherwise, see you then.
Goodbye.
Cheers.